Retro. No.
RetroZap.com proudly presents a podcast beyond your experience, beyond your imagination. The DuneCast. With your hosts, Joe Tavano and Rod Johnson. Featuring news, analysis, and discussion of everything in Frank Herbert's Dune universe. And beyond. Welcome back, friends, to the DuneCast. My name is Joe Tavano. Joining me, as always, my co-host, Rod Johnson. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm on cloud nine. I think everybody is right now listening to this.
Yeah, if you were in a theater on a Wednesday evening at around the world, I think you might be a little happy if you were a Dune fan, because we've gone to the mountain, we've come down, we have seen it, we know it's good. This is an exciting day. This is a really exciting day. So, for those who aren't aware, about 2 weeks ago, I'd say, official Dune account put out the call for the public to get an advanced special look at Dune. It was something I've really never heard of happening. It's like, hey, come to a movie theater to see a trailer and some behind-the-scenes stuff. It was weird. I'd never heard of anything like this in my life. And, usually you just, they advertise, the trailer's going to be in front of this movie or whatnot back in the old days. But this was a whole event just around seeing footage and seeing a trailer. And naturally, your boys were there. Rod went.
We were there.
Yeah, I went into Boston, first time back in the theater since the pandemic started. And Rod, where'd you go?
I had to shoot up to Chicago, so not too far.
Yeah. So we went to the big city. It was interesting. I used to work in Boston all the time, and after the pandemic, I don't anymore. And it was an interesting experience. But man, I got to tell you, it was fun. It was fun being there. I got there like 2 hours early because I didn't know what to expect, right? I've been to like free screenings of movies and I've been locked out. I've actually not been able to get in because the passes we got them publicly. We didn't get any special favors, as some people have accused people of getting them, but no, we just logged on and we got our passes. But you look at the passes and it says first come, first served. If this sells out, you will not be admitted. And we're like, okay, I guess I better get there early. So I got there two hours early. I was the first person in line. Made friends with all the movie theater staff. Shout out to my boys. And what about you, Rod? What was your trip like?
Well, so you're an hour ahead of me, and
right.
So you were like, I'm in line, and I was like, really? And they're like, yeah, people are forming. You should probably leave now. So I was like, all right, I got to go. And for those of you in Chicago are familiar with it anyway, traffic can be bad. So I get on the Dan Ryan, and I'm just like, no, as I'm going like 10 miles an hour. So I ended up an hour early, and there was a line outside the theater, and I walk up and they're like, Dune.
Yeah.
So we were packed. I don't know about Boston, but Chicago was packed, and it was a great atmosphere. I talked to the people in line. I talked to the people around me in the theater, and just everybody's super excited.
Well, you know that you know how Duncan Idaho says like, let's fight like demons in the trailer. Yeah, that's me in Boston. I drive like a demon in Boston. I know that city. I know how to drive in that city. I got a tiny little zippy car, and I just barrel down those streets. I know all the ways in downtown Boston. So that was fun. It's driving in Boston's unlike driving anywhere else on the planet. I will say that. It's a acquired taste, and it is something that you must be seasoned and experienced to do. Do not take it lightly. Anyways, it was a great experience. They let us in, so I waited outside in the lobby alone, a line of one from 5 to 6. There was literally no one else there. Some people had come in and asked. Turned out they were the staff that actually were working the event. And then,
Jeez.
and then I guess some people outside were waiting, but like, I don't know. I guess a line had formed outside for some reason. No one told them to, which was weird. But anyways, at 6 o'clock, they started letting everyone in. It ended up being a packed house. It was great. It was
They were in there shuffling people around like, hey, there's an empty seat here. If you don't have anybody taking that seat, move down.
I wouldn't say Boston was that packed. It wasn't like, make room, shuffle around packed, but it was comfortable packed, right? Like everyone got the seat they wanted, everyone sat down. It was a full theater. I looked around, it was a full theater.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think they gave away some passes over the radio. Which is still a thing that happens, I guess. I'm fully in my podcast Spotify land, so I don't really know about that much. But I don't think many people showed up from the radio giveaway. Met one person from the press. One good dude there. Ended up talking to him quite a bit about the film. And then big shout out to my DuneCast fans. Met a bunch of listeners to the show. It was pretty damn awesome because, DuneCast, we haven't really had a reason to get out there, right? We haven't really had a chance to connect with other Dune fans in the 5+ years we've been doing the show. So that was awesome to talk to people. And I'm just sitting there alone. I'm the only one in my row. I'm just sitting there and, just hanging out. And they took our phones too. Remember that? They took our phones. So
it was a very well organized. I don't know how Boston was, but Chicago was super organized.
Totally.
Zipped in, zipped out, but you checked your phone, they wanted you. And
Yep. Yeah. They sent an email like 2 days before, like, yep, we will be storing your phone securely before you enter. Making sure they have the UV lights on to make sure that no one, or infrared lights to make sure no one had devices out. They locked this thing down so the footage wasn't getting out. But it was.
And I haven't seen it yet.
No, it hasn't gotten out. They did a nice job. And I think people were just respectful too, because there are ways around that. You can game the system. If the UV isn't on, or the infrared light isn't on you, then you can bring 2 phones. Whatever. It's a dumb thing to do because you can get banned for life too. Anyway, I'm sitting there with no phone, and I'm like, I haven't had to pass an hour's time without a phone in a long time. So I'm messing around with my smartwatch. I'm just like, I'm reading.
Yep.
I'm reading like every inch of the screen, and I just start listening to the chatter around me. Right? You're in a theater, a bunch of people around you. I just like kind of sit back and I kind of just take in all the chatter. And over the din of people talking, what do I hear? I hear someone go, "You ever heard of the DuneCast?" And all of a sudden, my head is on a swivel. And I look, I'm like, what? I'm like, oh my God. And I turn around, I'm like, DuneCast. And I look at him like, I like point to me. I'm like, that's me, DuneCast. I'm like, hello.
I'm here.
Yeah. And I think at first they weren't sure if like you were another listener of DuneCast, but I'm like, no. I'm Joe. It was so funny. I'm like, so it was cool. And then we just started talking, talking about the show, talking about what we were expecting for the premiere, talking about board games. It was really awesome. So, big shout outs to all the listeners I met out there. You guys were awesome to talk to and really helped pass the time as we waited till 7 for sure.
Yeah, I had a couple people, they'd heard of the show, but they hadn't listened. I was sitting around some people that were still fairly new to Dune.
Mm-hmm.
One had read just the first book, and the other one had started God Emperor, and then said life happened. So I was like, you know what?
Yeah,
it does.
It does happen.
But
Yeah,
I was like, you really should go back, and I recommended the show. I think who knows, maybe they'll listen. But I did run into some people as I was walking out, complimented my shirt and stuff. But everybody's running out. I didn't run into the true listeners, I don't think. But
yeah. That's all right, though. I mean, it's funny. Yeah, I did get a bunch of people who were saying like, "Yeah, damn, I gotta read this book now." I'm like, "Yeah, you do.
Like,
yeah,
you really
man.
do."
And then some people were like, "Yeah, I've only read the first book, but I want to read the first 3, or I've read the first 3, but that's it." Or people take Dune in many different ways, in many different forms, and many people have their own opinions of what they believe to be the true Dune, right? The only ones that matter. But that's not our stance here. We think it all is.
It was funny. So like my son's girlfriend, I stayed with my girlfriend. They live in Chicago, and she saw the poster, and then she found out what I was going up there. If I get a ticket for this, I was like, it's free. And I sent her the link to the Dune movie. Twitter account gets sold out. She was actually considering going to see if any seats opened up because after she saw the poster, she was so excited.
Hilarious. That's awesome. Yeah, we got a free poster too. Yeah. When you walked in, that's the one thing I kind of wish they waited for. Like when you walk in, they give you the poster and all that.
On the way.
Oh, that's smart, man. That's smart to get the poster on the way out, because all you're doing in that hour and a half from when you take that poster, it's just getting damage in your hand. What else are you gonna do with it, right?
Yeah.
So you might as well get it at the end of the night and just put it in your car or whatever.
Yeah,
so,
when I was getting my phone, they were just like, "Do you want a poster?" Well, yeah, I want a poster.
No.
Hand that thing over.
Yeah, no, I don't want the special poster for the special event. No. Yeah, so that was all awesome. The event was awesome, but let's talk about the footage a little bit, right? Let's get this thing started. So we start off with like a montage, right? It was like a montage of a bunch of the actors talking about the film, and a bunch of Denis Villeneuve talking about the film too, and you see a bunch of footage. Yeah, and that was cool. Just pretty much like a hype reel at that point. And then you get into the first 10 minutes of the film, just straight up, right? And it was mind-blowing. Like you all of a sudden you just dropped into the film. Like, hello.
I loved the intro.
Yes.
The narration by Zendaya as Chaney. Yeah. That whole scene.
Guys, all of my concerns about Zendaya are completely put to rest. Everything.
Glad to hear.
Yep, I'm glad to hear it too. I'm glad to feel this way. Everything that that was sort of concerned about her being sort of a younger actor, sort of not having the same chops as some of the other people on the screen, due to experience, all gone. I think Denis brought a great performance out of her just in this first intro, because it's a voiceover. She's talking to you about Arrakis. She's talking to you about, I think it's really interesting where they started, right? It's not the same as Erlon just giving you, all right, here's the lay of the entire universe. Like, there's no history here. There's no 15 minutes setup of like, here's everything that's happened, and here are the 3 groups that are around, and here are the 4 planets, and it's not like that at all. You get dropped right into sort of the action of like, here's my planet Arrakis. You see the spice sand glistening. You sort of you don't.
It's so beautiful as the sun sets.
Yeah. You don't. So the thing is, this movie is taking a really smart storytelling approach by not dumping everything on you at once. You learn what you need to learn as you learn it throughout the story, which is cool. So what you learn in this first voiceover is that there's a planet Arrakis, there is spice, there are evil Harkonnens that are harvesting the spice, they're outsiders, and the Fremen war with them. That's pretty much it. It's a much more sympathetic immediately to the Fremen than you get out of the book or previous movies. Yeah. You get that sort of perspective there that starts with the Fremen and it starts with the spice. And then, what a great place to start Dune, an adaptation of it. It's perfect in that way, because that's all you really need to know to start things. And man, I gotta tell you, like the Harkonnen harvesters themselves look so cool. They almost look like have you ever seen I want to call it by the American name, Warriors of the Wind, but it's Nausicaa in the Valley of the Wind, the Hayao Miyazaki movie. It's an anime movie from the 80s. I highly suggest you check it out. It's on Disney Plus. Really cool old school like anime movie. Even I'm not a huge anime fan at all, but like this movie it's legit. But there are these creatures in it called Omu, which are like these big, like almost like pill bug type things with huge eyes, and they have like little insect arms in like the front where their mouth would be, and they sort of like almost like harvest the land. And these things, the Harkonnen harvesters, remind me so much of Omu. I can't wait to read The Art and Soul of Dune to find out if that was an inspiration. So that was so cool to see that in action. And there's dust everywhere. It's such like a Denis effect with like that hazy dust in the air. Nighttime shot. Yeah. And then you see, the Fremen attack these harvesters and
pop up out of the sand.
Yep, they pop up out of the sand just like a worm would, which is so cool. And there's tons of battle, and all you see are just these missiles come down from these skyscraper height harvesters, and they just come down and they just destroy everything. This is all from memory. I'm not going to be able to remember everything we saw in that first 10 minutes, but maybe you can help me out a little bit. But after that entire scene, you see them, a bunch of Fremen die, and then you see a bunch of them retreat, and Chaney's sort of on the retreat there, heading back into their sietch, and it just the scene shifts to Caladan at that point, and Paul waking up.
Well, I do love the one line though where she says, "Who will be our next oppressors?" Because one day the Harkonnens just leave, and it shows them all loading up on navigators, and then it flips to Paul.
You're right. You're like, that's a really interesting point. Yeah, like, well, and then this one day they left. Who knows why? We don't know why. And who will be the next oppressors? Who's coming in? This sort of colonizing perspective, right? This anti-colonial perspective that you get from the Fremen. Really interesting to put that in. And then it shifts to Paul, i.e. the potential next oppressor.
Yeah.
Yeah, the potential oppressor of the universe in some ways, as we know who have read the books. But I just thought it was a great shift. You shift to Caladan. It's the entire language of the film shifts there. The color, the sound, everything sort of shifts. It's much more blue. You hear rain, you hear water. You just know you're in a different place immediately. And Paul wakes up, and immediately after he gets up, what do you see? They make a specific shot. Glow globe, flies right over to him. I'm like, they got the glow globes right. They got it right.
I was so happy when I saw that. I remember you and I were talking about it that night. It was in there.
Yeah, because when I watched the Lynch film and when I watched the miniseries, I'm like, so where are the glow globes? Is that a glow globe? I'm not sure. Like one of those. And this made it just so obvious. Like, yeah, he has a light machine that just follows him around. Like, there's a glow globe. Cool. And it shifts to breakfast with Jessica at that point, and this scene was awesome. I have the carafe they use. I noticed they poured a glass of water, and I have that carafe.
Nice.
It's a wine carafe. I think it's crystal. I don't know. When my company was being sold and the office was shutting down a couple of years ago, it was just sort of left out, and I'm like, I'm taking this, and I did.
I have earned this.
Yeah,
this
exactly. Yeah, so that carafe, I'm like, I know that carafe. That's my carafe, which is cool. So they're still using.
Yeah, but she's talking to him about like, we got the Emperor's Herald is coming today. You've got to dress up in ceremony. One thing I noticed throughout the trailer in this is like they inject a little more humor than what we're really used to in previous.
Yeah, it's not this dour, heavy thing. People talk. I mean, it's not. I wouldn't call it humor. I wouldn't call it like joke, right? But there's some situational levity. There is something that's like there's
little quips.
Yeah, quips. Things are fun. Things aren't just, the way people talk isn't just,
tells him to wear his ceremonial garb. And he's like, why? And she just goes, ceremony.
Yeah, ceremony. Come on. Like, obviously. And what else? What was I going to say?
Talking about quips and levity.
Yeah, it was, Rebecca Ferguson as Jessica, she had such an intensity on screen. I was so impressed with her portrayal. Even just in the scene, and it was very like, how do you do breakfast as a scene? But it was portrayed so beautifully. Oh, this is what I was gonna say. When they switch to Caladan, you see the year 10,191. Now, I want to get a little nuanced here. Isn't that 10,191 after the Butlerian Jihad?
Yes, it is.
It is. It's not Anno Domini 10,191.
Yeah, but then we'd have to explain the Butlerian.
That's true, but...
And we'd have to bring in Irulan to do that.
And could they have just put in, like, some parentheses, like 10,191 after the Butlerian Jihad? I don't know. Might have been interesting.
Maybe the final.
Yeah, that's another thing to remember, too. This isn't the final cut, right? I mean, we're a few months away. There could be changes that happen. Oh, the other thing we forgot to mention. Do you remember how it started? How the title was? Dune Part 1. They made sure to say that. I mean, it's not in any of the marketing, but it's Dune Part 1. And honestly, I think the Part 2 is already greenlit after seeing this. I'm almost 100% sure. Like, I don't see how you turn in this type of film and not get a green light.
The buzz was amazing. I get online and I look, and of course Dune's trending, IMAX is trending.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just all of our accounts that we were talking about. It was a lot of casual fans were talking. So, and I think, you were talking earlier, like you never really heard of something like this for a movie.
Mm-hmm.
But this movie was being marketed for last year. That's when the figures were being pushed, some of the board games and stuff like that. And then it's pushed back a year, and they're like, now we have to redrum all the excitement up that we tried to do last year.
So they're doing something unprecedented, and I like them for it. Good on them for it, for going that extra step and taking that, taking the steps that they need to take, right?
Because there's not the convention still. We just still don't have conventions, so they can't be doing panels.
Yeah, that's true. Something like this would probably have been at a convention. If they were live, right? This is something you would have seen at San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. They probably produced it for San Diego Comic-Con. Let's be honest, right? And yeah, no, it was pretty cool. So getting back to that breakfast scene, they come back to the water, and Paul's like, "Can you pour me a glass of water?" And Jessica's like, "Can you do it? Use the voice." He's like, "Oh, come on, it's so early,
Yeah.
Like this is I like this because this is like Paul's like Tosche Station sort of thing,
Yeah.
like the whiny Paul, who still has yet a long way to go in his development, and at first you don't know what to expect, right? I'm in my head, I'm still expecting like the lizard voice from Lynch. I'm expecting something like that to happen, and I don't know what's about to happen here. And he's like, "Give me the water." I'm like, okay, they're just gonna do that, and
Wait.
I can't explain the sound design that happened. I really can't. It was so odd and so much like nothing I've ever heard before. The way they used voice and the way they portrayed Paul attempting to use voice. It was like there was a build, there was like a drop off, and it was intense and completely loud. Yet at the same time, Paul was completely calm and suggestive. I've never heard anything like this in a theater.
And it sounded amazing. Like
It did.
I've seen some of the trippy is what I keep seeing as
Yes.
using as described, because the whole, like you said, the sound effect is really, it is hard to describe.
It's disorienting. It's disorienting. It's the way Herbert describes the use of voice and what voice is. This is such a great representation. It's not just like a reptilian voice that makes people like just do whatever you want. It's suggestion. It's the ultimate power of persuasion. It is something done with a projection of your mind, in concert with the skill and use of your body and your vocal cords. So it's not something that we can really comprehend the effect, in our day to day. It's not something like a superpower. It's a extension of ability of the human body. And I feel like, you really got that impression from it. It was just so disorienting. It's like hypnotism times like a million, right?
Yeah. And then it looked like, I thought he pulled it off, because you see her start to hand him the water.
Yeah, her reaction was like, almost. Which was,
yeah, like she's handing it to him, and I'm like, oh, look at Paul. And then she just like stops and she's like, almost.
Yeah, now this is what I mean about humor. Like, that's not a joke, but that was funny to me because I know what was like, I know what voice is, and I know what was going on. I know who Paul is. And yeah, her eyes. Was she, this is a great debatable moment. Was she fully commanded to do it or not? Did he actually get it? Was that a perfect use of voice, or are we about to experience something else in the movie when voice is fully used? This is a debatable point.
I could see that. Well, I don't know if they'll do something completely different with it if it's fully used, but I do think that he had partial control of it. Like I'm of a mind that he did have her start handing it. Like he got enough control that she started to hand it, but it wasn't enough to completely force her.
Yeah, like
she was able to resist it a little.
Yeah, I think that she was I think she was more impressed with Paul's ability than she let on. I will say that.
Yeah.
100%.
Which is a classic Ben and Jerry's.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah, at that moment, she's training her son, but she was training him in the Bene Gesserit way. 100%. So there was no, good job, boy. Like you did, no pats on the back there for that.
Yeah, like almost.
Yeah. If he nails it, he'll be like, okay, let's actually try and use this. Yeah. So I love that scene. I thought that was so cool, and I'm like, oh damn, they're doing this. We're really into this. Once I heard voice, I'm like, now we're talking. Now we're doing something special. Next scene, we have that meeting with the Imperial Herald, right? Did I miss anything? Okay. All right.
Yep.
We're there. And vast, like Atreides' army. You see the ship, the Guild Highliner, which is like, it's so huge it looks like a close moon, but it's not, right? And you see this tiny little ship come out of it, and it lands on the planet, and this little tiny ship is massive. And I think this ship is just massive. And this is what people are talking about when they say that Dune is immense and massive, because seeing this thing on screen, the scale is unlike anything I've ever seen in a film before. The way they're able to capture scale of ships, and not just like, oh, this thing is big and these people are tiny. These things are moving. They're alive. You see mechanics and machinery. You see pistons that are the size of building. Dropping down. You see this sort of mechanical movement that is all working in concert. On such a massive scale. I've never seen anything like it executed so well.
I loved the scene of it looks like such a small ship coming out of the Highliner.
Yeah.
And then when it lands, like you were saying, you see this ramp and you see the feet
Yeah.
open up, and even this tiny transport huge. So how big must the Highliner?
I know. It's the size of like a small planet. It's like that's how huge it is, and like that's wild. And you just don't get that sense of scale from Lynch, which I mean the scale is all there. They tried to do it, but it ends up sort of looking like a Tic Tac in comparison. But here you just get that immensity, and it's wild. So yeah, the Imperial Herald comes out with a bunch of Imperial dignitaries. One of the aesthetics of this film is everyone sort of wears these I want to call them like space astronaut helmets almost. They almost have these like oval shaped helmets around, and most of them are obscured. You see like either like a UV visor over many of them. The Imperial ones had that. The Spacing Guild was in all black, and they have an orange. They're obscured by orange, but that's spice gas. That spice gas in there. Yeah. But you can almost make out features, but you don't really. Which I thought was really a cool thing as well. And yeah.
They're not going to Sci-Fi Channel. Everybody gets a big hat mode.
No. The Bene Gesserit got a big hat. Yeah, Bene Gesserit got a big, what was it, like a big square Abba, right? That's yeah. And I'm assuming that was Gaius Helen Mohiam in the retinue there.
Yeah, and there was like that brief Jessica and her looking at each other.
Oh man, now we're talking intensity. Jessica looked terrified of her, did she not?
Yeah. Like I screwed up. I know.
I know, and like when was the last time she saw her? It could have been the last time she saw her. Could have been like before Paul was even born.
Yeah, maybe she had Paul, and then she's just been hiding out in Caladan, avoiding the Bene Gesserit, so she doesn't get punished.
Yeah, and you got to remember too, like Jessica is not a Reverend Mother. She is, I would call her, more than an acolyte, more than an acolyte, but not
just a sister.
Yeah, just a sister. So it's it was an interesting thing there, and yeah, the fear and intensity and the way that Mohiam looked at her, there was just this witchy look, right? Like a look of knowing, a smile, and I'm just looking at this woman conveying this look, and I'm looking at her being like, she is the totality. She is the totality of her entire bloodline looking. She has other memory in there. It is looking at her. I'm trying to like encapsulate, like all of this is flooding into my head about who this woman is and what her true power is at this point. Knowing all that I know about the Dune universe, it just blew my mind. The depth in her eyes and in her smile, and it was like, wow, that is intense.
This whole scene had good stuff in it too. Like we talked briefly about, but the whole army assembled, the Atreides flags. One of the things they talked about in the intro was the scale of everything.
Yes. Yeah.
This isn't just it's not Gurney and Thufir and Leto and Paul and Jessica in meeting them in a small room. This is ship landing. Yeah. Them coming down the ramp, great big open area.
A full army.
Assemble.
Yeah. Full army assembled, and it didn't look like a CGI army. It didn't look like, oh yeah, there's like 5 people and then like a bunch of CGI drones, until you can't see anything. It didn't look like that. You felt a weight of all these people, and that's all Denis right there that filmed that. And we haven't even talked about the Atreides yet. Yeah, lined up on these steps is Leto, Jessica, Paul, Gurney, Thufir. I think that was it, right? Duncan was there too?
I think he was.
Don't believe.
Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't believe.
It's like one of those. No notes were being taken there.
Yeah, I believe Duncan is on Arrakis. Yeah, I believe Duncan is on Arrakis because there was a meeting after this scene, and we see in the trailers of Duncan and Paul, right? And he's like, "Oh, my boy," like one of those. And that's yeah, I believe he comes back to Caladan, and then he goes back to Dune, and then he sees him again on Dune, something like that. In any event, Thufir. There's also another funny moment where you get Oscar Isaac as Leto, perfect, so cool, and he looks at Gurney, he's like, "Smile, Gurney." He's like, "I am smiling." Gurney's awesome.
Yeah, that's another great. Like, there's so many great castings, but yeah.
Thanos as Gurney, by the way. Thanos.
Yeah, Josh Brolin just looks like every scene I've seen with Gurney. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, dude, that is Gurney. And then they do a Mentat projection. I forget what Leto asked him to do, but this took me by surprise. Like when Thufir does his Mentat projection, he blinks. And you think he's just gonna blink and like sort of roll his eyes in the back of the head, like to think for a second. No. His eyes go away like a shark. His eyes just like roll in back of his head, white eyes, like what? And like for an unsettling amount of time, as he's doing this entire projection, it's like, oh, he's just going literally into the back of his head. Like his eyes are looking into the back of his head and becoming the human computer for a second. And then he comes back and he's like, oh, you're a person again. It was so unsettling, but at the same time, so cool and exactly what a Mentat should be.
Yeah, no Sappho juice, no speech.
No, juice of Safu. That's the one thing I got to tell you, I really liked that poem that Piter did from Lynch.
Everybody does.
Yeah, it's cool. I learned that even before I even saw the movie. It is by will alone I put my mind in motion. It is by the juice of Safu that. Yeah, all of that. I used to recite that while taking tests in high school. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, man.
And then, we have the Herald take over Dune.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to find word for word. We get part of it in the trailer, but Leto's speech.
Oh, yeah.
We are
House Atreides. Yeah,
This is amazing.
There is no call we do not answer. There is no something we do not do. The Emperor asks us to bring peace to Arrakis, we accept. It's like that.
Yeah, it was such an amazing speech.
Yeah. And then he Leto walks down alone to the Herald, and he's like, it is done. It is done. The Herald has a bunch of very important stuff he says too. You get a lot more exposition about Emperor Carino, the Lion Throne, which I forgot about. There was one word he said. There was a word he said that he pronounced it differently than I have in the past. I can't remember what it was. Damn this memory.
Yeah, getting old.
Yeah, it does.
But I love the make it official. Use your signet ring. They make a point of showing
the ducal ring. The ducal ring. Yeah, you see the ring. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it's like we're gonna make sure early on this ring is important.
Yeah, you see the also you see sculptures of his father fighting the bull as well.
Yeah, there was the portrait. Where was the painting at?
Oh, it might have been in the breakfast scene. There was a portrait and a sculpture. Yeah, which was very cool too. Duke. Yeah, you see the ducal ring. Oh, I remember what they said. Now Lynch's version called it the Padishah Emperor. And this film pronounces it differently. It's like Padishah, I think it was.
Yeah. Now that you say that, I do remember that.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's different. Okay. Maybe it's a more accurate pronouncing of how that word should be pronounced in Arabic. I'm not sure. Guys, let us know if it is. But yeah, I thought that was interesting too. And then you just hear the army start saying like Atreides. I'm like, wow, there's so much power in this scene. So cool. And that's it. That's about the end of the 10 minutes right there.
And it felt like so much more.
Yeah, I was taking up every second, every moment of this. I was bought in. Right. It was just. I
was amazed. It was like. There was so little noise in the theater.
Oh yeah,
yeah. There was some applauding.
A little bit, but I think people were just blown away.
Yeah, such a good. And we haven't talked about. I like the new emblems for the house. Should we call them emblems? Like I love the Atreides hawk that they have. It's much more modern looking.
Yeah.
The Harkonnen with that ring and how do you want to describe that?
Yeah, it's almost like like the signs for male and female gender, like the symbols for those. It's almost like some weird twisted, sharpened version of something like that. I'm not sure. The weird claw, like evil looking thing. You know, it's like we like evil. It's pretty much something you expect from that. Yeah. So after that, did we see what came next? Was it the Hans Zimmer Denis conversation? Did that come after?
I think that was the end. I think that was the one.
Okay. So the next thing we said, we see Denis Villeneuve sitting there being like, "Hey guys, thanks for watching this." He's like, "I love Dune." Basically, just telling us how much he loves Dune. We already knew that as fans, of course. You guys too, I'm sure. And he was sort of explaining how much of a passion this was, and he's like, yeah, so check out this one more scene too. And I'm like, oh damn, we're gonna see another scene. And we get the entire sequence of the
Spice
yeah,
harvester.
the spice harvester being rescued.
Infamous spice.
Yeah.
Like this was such a great scene, pivotal scene in the whole story that I was surprised we got it.
Yeah, and you know something? This is something that it's the scene beat for beat. You've seen it, you've seen it adapted multiple times, and yet it's still fresh and new. And this is the moment where I'm like, oh, this is like Lord of the Rings. This is like Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, because I think everyone can agree that Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, the first three movies, Fellowship, Two Towers, Return of the King, are the definitive adaptations of those. And looking at those, like, you've seen them adapted in other ways before, but no. This is it. This is the right way. And like, this is how I felt 20 years ago watching that. This is the same vibe. This is the same momentum. And I'm like, yes. But at the same time, like, I'm also wondering, did people feel like this about Star Wars?
Yeah, it's hard to say. We didn't have the internet back then, so.
Yeah, because there were just things in this movie. The production, I mean, is just maybe this is how people felt about Star Wars too. I mean, it was just so, like, I've never seen anything this new before. So I'm wondering if this is how people felt when they watched Star Wars too. I've never seen anything like this on screen. For all that Lord of the Rings was, I don't think it really reinvented the way that sound design and visuals really were done. I mean, yes, they had massive technological advancements, but I don't remember being like, I've never seen anything like this before. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love the excitement around this, and
yeah,
and I don't, like you said, I don't know if this was like Star Wars, but I didn't know what to expect going into this. But I was amazed that when I get to the theater an hour early for just a trailer and maybe a couple minutes of footage, that there was a line.
Yeah, for real.
So
for real,
the excitement level is there, and I work in a food grocery distribution warehouse, and like guys coming up to me, and a lot of the guys there, they know about my podcast. They know I'm a huge Dune nerd. And the amount of times people came in yesterday, they're like, "So have you seen the new trailer?" It's like, are you serious right now?
Yeah.
But like, so casual fans, I think we're starting to see that
Yes.
welling up of excitement from just casual fans. It's not just us hardcore fans anymore.
Yeah, and guys,
I had multiple people come in last night talking about it.
For all of you out there who are listening to this, the best thing you can do is just share the trailer around. Just share it to people you don't think are gonna dig it. Share it to people, I mean, not gonna dig it, but share it to non-nerds. Share it to people who aren't in the know. Share it with your parents. Share it with your siblings. Share it with cousins. Share it with the people you may not expect to really be down with Dune so far. Because this is gonna be something new. I've been sharing it with people like that in my life, and they've all been like, "Oh, damn, I gotta watch this. I can't wait."
Like, yes, you do.
Yeah.
I showed it to my wife, and I love it. Every time my wife watches the stuff, she always identifies it with our dog.
Yeah.
My dogs are Leto and Ganima. So
yeah,
the trailer comes on, and it's Chaney's voiceover. She's like, "So this is their mother, right?" Yes.
Yeah. But not Paul's wife.
No.
Okay, another story. Now, let's talk about the spice harvester scene, because there is so much good stuff here. First off, ornithopters.
The ornithopter. Oh, look great.
Yo. Like, these wings, the wings, like, they were moving, but they were moving so fast you couldn't see them. And they portrayed that on film so friggin' well. I was shocked. I'm like, oh, that's why these are highly versatile and maneuverable and fast. Like, it like, you knew it mentally, you knew it, theoretically, but seeing it all in action, like, now we finally have an ornithopter.
Yeah, and there was a scene where, like, the wings tuck back and it just dives.
Yes,
super fast.
When Leto goes to rescue the crew, and he's like, "Oh, we got to get down there," and he dives in this thing, and the wings tuck back, and like the sound drops out there too, and I'm like, "Oh, snap! This is the versatility. This is the power of an ornithopter. This is what replaces planes. I get it now, right?"
Yeah, yes, like you said, much more maneuverable and able to fly around us. But I mean, there's always the argument of like, how well would these work in a desert environment with sand blowing around? But they've had 10,000. They've had 10,000 years. They figured it out.
Plus 10,000 plus. They know what they're doing. This is you know what else I thought was really cool too? The spice harvester the Atreides use is so much different looking than the Harkonnen. I like the idea of different houses and different planets having different technology altogether. It's almost like using like Android versus iPad. Like it's all, they're all doing the same thing, but they're all designed differently by different designers, and you get that sort of human feel to it. Like
and it was, this one was like, whereas the Harkonnen one was that taller one based on
like an insect. insectoid
Yeah,
thing.
this was like almost more tank-like. It was
Yeah.
flatter.
Yeah, it looked like something from like, honestly, it probably was like modified from Caladan, like in some sort of like grain harvesting. It almost looked like something you'd see on a farm. Like what are they called? A combine?
Yeah.
It almost looked like that on a massive scale, which was really cool. So yeah, and when they call for the pickup, the ship that picks them up, it's like I didn't expect. I'm like, how's that thing gonna pick it up? It's like this little ball that sits on top, and it was like gonna fly it off. If you guys know the scene, you probably do. There's a problem. There's a malfunction with the can't think of the name of the actual ship that comes.
Carryall.
The carryall, of course, obviously, and the carryall comes to pick it up, and there's a malfunction. And the way they portrayed this, it was almost like these extending cables and legs that grip onto it, which was very cool. I'm like, oh, this is very versatile. Like I like this. And the scout ships were these little balls that sort of like floated like drones almost, which was cool. Looking for worm sign. Worm sign was cool. It almost looked like just a freight train barreling under the sand from far away.
Yeah.
How frenetic. What were you going to say?
I was like, and then we get again the large scale. You're like, oh, the sandworm's close. And they're like, it's a couple kilometers out. We've got 5, but it looks like it's going to be there any minute.
Exactly. You just see how massive it is.
Movie trope.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's a big one. By the way,
we did get our first look at Liet, by the way.
Yeah, Liet Kynes. She did a great job. There was some scuttle early on about, oh, it's a woman. I haven't given a crap at all, and neither should you. And if you do, we can shut it off. But for real, like, it was a great scene. She did a great job. She not only delivered the lines correctly, but I mean, the
reverence that she
the reverence when the worm comes and she's like, bless the maker and is coming and going, bless, all of that. I was, I'm like, it didn't. I think of the Lynch's Dune and the way it was said, it was almost said like a weird, secret, creepy, culty thing, And she said it just straight up. She said it loud and proud. The whole ornithopter heard her, and it was almost like it was less religious and was almost more instructive and educational to the people in the ornithopter as well as the crowd, the audience.
Respect Shai Hulud. Respect the old man of the desert.
Exactly. Something new in the scene. There is a new thing in the scene. Paul helps get the crew out, and this is his first real time in the open desert. And they make it a big moment to show like his feet hitting the ground of the open desert and him getting the spice all around his head, and it's all muddling him. And he starts to hear whispers, and he starts to hear voices, and he's all disoriented because prescience is like just hitting him from all sides, right? But he doesn't really know what's going on. He's getting lost, and they do such a great job showing the chaos of the scene because there's dust everywhere from the harvester, and there's a malfunction, and the spices, the worm is coming, and everyone's screaming, and you can hardly hear anything. And then there's just Paul, like, in his awakening prescience, just sort of like out there, and he's like, and he's just talking to the worm. He's talking to himself. He's like, I see you, old man. And you're like, whoa, like, I don't remember this from the books.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I thought he was talking to Gurney because Gurney came up behind him, and I thought he said, I hear your footsteps, old man.
Oh, I thought he was talking to the worm.
Anybody else out there that saw it, let us know. Because if he said, I hear your footsteps, old man, that would have been a callback to the beginning when Gurney's coming down the hallway and he's yelling at Paul because he's got his back to the door.
Yeah, that's true.
But I don't know. Maybe like anybody else that watched it, reach out. Let us know which one. What did Paul say there? Who's right?
Yeah, I mean, that's, and when we see the film, I think it'll be more clear. The full film, we're seeing one scene outside of things. Because if it's prescience and he hears Gurney's footsteps just like he did at the beginning of the film, in a previous scene, that would make a lot of sense because, he's seeing the future and he's knowing that Gurney's about to come get him. So he has nothing to worry about and he's calm. It would make a lot more sense than him talking to the worm, I'll tell you that much. I like your idea better. I gotta be honest. Yeah, I
love the scene too where they're running back to the ship and they get knocked down.
Yeah,
and the sand is shaking so much they're literally sinking, like trembling in the sand.
Yeah,
they're sinking in the sand. It was so good
because the worm is like it's literally right under them at that point, and the worm is like,
had the scene of the sand like shaking as the worm's going underneath it. It looked like almost like music wave type,
like music wave, like quicksand, like it's like the worm is vibrating the sand to get it all into its mouth. It was just so wild, and then you see the worm's mouth, and it starts off like, oh, that's big, and that's definitely going to eat the entire harvester, and then you see, Oh,
That
it's
thing is
way bigger.
huge.
Oh, that's just one row. Oh, there's like a million rows of teeth. And the way it just moved so organically. It wasn't just like this. It just was like nothing I've seen before. It was like no worm you've seen in any other adaptation. It just moved in a way that felt alive. And like, yeah, it's just straight up power eating this thing, and it just moves slow, and it just is like, and it's just gone. And you get the idea that it is swallowing it. It's not just like sinking into the worm.
There was a lot of applause after this scene, and rightfully so.
Yeah, I don't think no one in Boston really like applauded or cheered or laughed. It was just, I think it was a lot of mouths open, just a gape, you know?
Yeah, this was like when this scene ended, though. That's when people applauded a little bit. They were just
yeah.
awesome.
Damn, yeah. And then we got the Hans Zimmer thing, and it was a little bit more of just like, yeah, we're doing cool things. You know, we're inventing new instruments, I think Hans Zimmer said. And the constant there is still the human voice, because we're still dealing with humans, which I thought was a really interesting and cool approach to writing music for Dune. So
yeah, and then
I'm expecting some Balisette.
Yeah, we got some chanting or something. I don't know how would musical person. It's featured in the trailer itself near the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is some choral chant by females. I also heard some Mongolian throat singing, which is just a really cool sound. You should look it up. There's actually a metal band from Mongolia that uses throat singing. It's called The Who, the THE, and then Who, HU. Check them out. They're actually pretty cool. They have some cool songs. I think it's just so cool the way they were doing that. And then you see the final trailer. You see the trailer for the entire film, and you get even more footage there.
Yeah.
Do you want to break it down? Do you want to get into the trailer itself?
Yeah. I don't know why we wouldn't.
All right. Well, I'm gonna play the audio of the trailer in full, and then we'll start to take a look. Sound good?
Yep.
All right, guys. Here we go. The trailer for Dune.
My planet Arrakis is so beautiful when the sun is low. Rolling over the sand, you can see spice in the air. The outsiders ravage our lands in front of our eyes. Their cruelty to my people is all I've known. What's to become of our world? Paul.
A boy.
Hey, Duncan, can I trust you with something?
Yes, always. You know that.
I've been having dreams about a girl on Arrakis. I don't know what it means.
Dreams make good stories. But everything important happens when we're awake. Hey, you. Put on some muscle?
I did?
No.
We are House Atreides. There is no call we do not answer. There is no faith that we betray.
Smile, Gurney. I am smiling.
The Emperor asks us to bring peace to Arrakis. House Atreides accepts!
I know you. There's something awakening in my mind.
You need to face your fears.
Come with me. You need to be ready. You never met Harkonnens before. They're not human, they're brutal.
The Duke's son sees too much.
This is my Dune. Kill them all.
God in heaven.
Get everything with guns off the ground! Go!
This is an extermination. They're picking my family off one by one.
Let's fight like demons.
Dad, what if I'm not the future of House Atreides?
A great man doesn't seek to lead. He's called to it. But if your answer is no, you'll still be the only thing I ever needed you to be. My son. If anything happens, will you protect Paul?
With my life.
Only together can we stand a chance.
Yeah. Oh man, that just hyped me up even more. Just watching it again. Yeah, we're gonna have to watch that. I think this is gonna be like on daily loop at least once a day.
Yeah, I might have watched a couple times already today.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's break this thing down. We're going shot for shot here. So it starts off with these dunes, and you see an ornithopter, three ornithopters going by. This is clearly going into the harvester sequence. We saw this on in the special preview, going into the deep desert, and you can see the dunes looking different. Cutting to Cheney, my planet Arrakis is so beautiful when the sun is low. Hey, what do you think of the blue eyes? The blue and blue eyes. I think they look pretty good.
I like them. They're not over the top with the blue. Like
yeah,
the CGI where they glow.
Yeah, they're not like glowing. They're just damn blue, and you can see them even in the sunlight. Yeah, it's not like animated. That weird look. And then you get that great shot of like a sand dune, and you see these red golden flecks just on the top of the sand. Yeah,
I can see the spike
in the air. Yeah, and it's like these shots of Cheney out there. The one thing I have to say, like, this is Cheney in the open desert with no still suit on. Come on, guys.
I think it's a dream sequence.
It's a vision, right? It's probably a vision.
Yeah. Because she's wearing like a white robe.
Yeah. All right. So you have next scene. You see Harkonnen harvesters and a bunch of dust, and there's two men, or two people on the left, and it looks like one of them is holding a thumper, or what might be a thumper. It's just this glowing staff.
Yeah. Did you catch that at the beginning of the movie during the first 10 minutes? It sounded like what could have been a thumper.
Oh yeah, you're right. I did. Yeah, that's cool. Then you see some Harkonnen soldiers. They're in like red and black. They have that astronaut bowl over their face. The outsiders ravage our lands in front of our eyes. Everyone's armed. They're clearly wearing some sort of still suit. Back to Cheney, looking pretty pissed.
Yeah, got the nose.
Yep. And then you see the harvesters like firing missiles, and they look like they're like heat-seeking type of missiles, and they break off and they just like blast everyone on the ground. Looks like a bunch of Fremen, and maybe even the Harkonnen soldiers as well. Yeah, you cut to this pic. We've seen this before. This is Harkonnen dignitaries with Beast Raban, and this one shot of Bautista. We didn't get anything more for Dave Bautista. The one shot of him looking really creeped out.
You got him here getting ready to behead some Fremen.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you do get that. It's very blurry though.
Burning a lot of bodies.
Yeah, burning bodies. Cheney with a crisp knife that has blood on it. Cannot be put away until it's tasted blood, and then they run away. What's to become of our world, they say. And you see these cylindrical ships. I don't know if they're moving to or moving away from Dune. The great shot. And then back to that sort of dream vision of Cheney. And then she goes, Paul, and Paul wakes up, and he's on Caladan. He has the bed with all the fish in back of him, and that's where the glow globe comes in right afterward. And you see Warner Brothers Legendary. Now I love this shot too. What is this ship here? It's like skirting on the water of Caladan, and it's moving fast. Yeah. It's like it's hard to make out what it is. It's very flat, and it's probably Duncan, right? Because he comes back and he looks like he's in a flight suit. He's like, my boy, and he chuckles and he gives Paul a big hug. Yeah, so it must be Paul. It must be Duncan returning from Dune,
or just out flying around on Caladan, and
yeah,
this precludes Duke sending him to work with the Fremen.
Yeah, right, yeah. So it's like, Duncan, can I trust you with something? Yes, always. You know that. I got to tell you, I think Momoa is a perfect Duncan. I think he's great. He has that sort of physicality and humor and just that swagger. He has swagger, and that's what Duncan is, especially this first life of Duncan. And Paul's like, I've been having dreams about a girl in her. Nice. I mean, what 15-year-old wouldn't? She's about to take a move. You see another picture of Cheney here. Oh, what are you going to say?
Oh, I love the line coming up. Dreams make great stories.
That is great. Yeah, but what's important, what happens when you're awake? Cheney looks dangerous. I got to tell you. A lot of these pictures, yeah.
Fremen do look like the warriors that we know them to be.
There's a quick shot here, and that looks like Duncan on Arrakis, too, like walking on the sand. There was a very quick shot of it, but you get it when you slow it down. Look at you, put on some muscle. I love this line. That's hilarious. And it's not in the book, yeah, but it's an adaptation, and it is so Duncan. That is like,
he's got a smirk as he's walking away.
Yeah. He's like, I did? No.
You're talking about the ship landing and the pistons.
Yeah, and
it's the scale of this ship.
Yeah, from director Denis Villeneuve. Yeah, this is it. Yeah, the pistons and everything that's landing. This massive orb, which is tiny compared to the Guild Highliner. Leto, we are House Atreides. There is no call. We do not answer. Yeah, good shot of Rebecca there. Going back to Paul and Gurney fighting with shields. You get the blue when things are deflected, and obviously red when things get through. There is no faith that we betray. That's great. And then you see, yep, okay, let's take a look here. Here's a the Imperial dignitaries approaching the Atreides, who are all lined up. And yeah, you see, all right, on the left there are 2 guards. Then you see Gurney, Leto, Thufir, Rebecca, Paul, and then another officer of some sort.
Doesn't look like Duncan's there. You were right.
Duncan is not there. There is no faith that we betray. Yep, you see the Imperial dignitary here, and in back of him you see, well, I guess they're gold. It's like a gold sort of huge helmet over their head. I must have mistook that. I thought maybe that is I thought that was the guild, but maybe it's not. I'm not sure. Because I figured those were just like spice gas helmets, but they're all rich. They could all have spice gas helmets. Yeah. No guild navigators though. No guild navigators to be seen yet. We shall see. So far, we've heard nothing of them. Some of the art directors have said we have nothing planned for guild navigators in this film. But we'll see. You never know. The whole smile Gurney part.
Yeah.
I am smiling. And then you see another shot of the Highliner and ship going down. The Emperor asks us to bring peace to Arrakis. It's not the same guild Highliner though. It's a different ship and a different guild Highliner. So this is probably them. Probably the Atreides landing. House Atreides accepts. The Emperor has asked us to bring peace to Arrakis. Yeah, and then this is the scene you see. You've seen it before with Leto and the armor and everyone in the armor landing on Arrakis. And he looks at Paul and Paul looks back. Now this is funny. You think that this scene of the foot hitting the ground is where you think it's him setting foot on Dune for the first time, but this comes from the spice harvesting scene. This is the actual scene of him, setting foot onto the open desert. That shot of Chaney and a bunch of Fremen coming down from the rock. We've seen that before. Paul in a still suit holding a gun.
No,
I know you.
Paul does not have the eyes of Ibad here.
He does not. No, he does not.
Because I want to point out something later.
Yeah. I know. This shot here of Paul, something's awakening in my mind, and you see all the dust around him, and he looks a little confused. This is also from the Spice Harvest. This is like where he starts to get confused, and he starts to hear the prescient voices for the first time. But also, you know what the scene, that image looks like, right? It looks like that Folio edition. The dude on the front of the Folio edition. 100%. Yeah. Really great job there. Like just like an iconic image of Paul. Yeah, and you see that, you just literally see it. Okay, now there looks like this palm tree on fire. That was a very weird shot. So that must be in Arrakeen. It looks like a worm is about to explode over a dune, but you don't see the worm. You see a quick shot of Harkonnen with hands on his face. That sort of seems to be a theme for the Harkonnens, covering the face, which is also obviously a sign of a villain or a bad guy. Something exploding, looks like a Atreides ship. Next shot, you see Rebecca in Fremen wear, eyes blue, writing over her face and writing over the wall. What did you think of that? That was a cool shot.
I'm looking at it right now, and it's like, is it some kind of projector, or is this like a ceremony where they wrote on her face?
I'm assuming it's a projection. She looks badass too.
Yeah, the eyes on her.
Yeah. Paul, you need to face your fears. He's in a still suit. Very close up, not really sure what he's doing here. Looks a little scared. Another shot of him with Chaney looking at him. Being handed a crysknife. Hey, what'd you think about those crysknives, by the way, that are coming out for like $150?
I'm thinking I want one.
I'm thinking I want one too. Officially licensed.
Yeah.
All right. A Fremen saying, "Come with me." Is this Jameis?
That is Jameis.
That is Jameis. Yeah.
Because I pulled up his profile.
Yeah, it looks like Jameis.
I'm not gonna get his name correct, so I'm not gonna try.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That scene of Paul with the crysknife doing the Atreides salute.
This huge flyover of Arrakeen.
Oh yeah, you only see it for a second. You just see like 1, 2, 3. You see 4 ornithopters returning. Huge, and it's like ziggurats almost. It's very cool. You see Paul walking with a bunch of Atreides soldiers. Like the helmet on the Atreides soldier looks so cool. It's like completely covered in plate. And then you see a whole group of people walking towards these other huge ships with it looks like the landing really. Then you see.
Yeah, I think this is the Duncan, my boy.
Okay, but before that, yeah, that's where you see the Duncan where he runs up to him. Next shot, a bunch of old dudes in beards in armor and blood it looks like blood or red paint of something being smeared on it looks like it's on their armor and being smeared between their eyes onto their nose by a female arm in black robes. Are we looking at Fade Akin here? I'm looking at Fade Akin.
Maybe. It's kind of weird though, because in the voiceover they're talking about the Harkonnens.
Yeah.
But the next shot it shows these guys hanging upside.
The Harkonnens are like all bald and pasty and weird looking though. These creepos. These guys look like. I mean, this could be a red herring though, because this one guy looks like one of the Fade Akin in Lynch's Dune, right?
Yeah.
I mean, could these?
The next scene is weird though, because they're hanging upside down.
Could these be the Imperial soldiers from Seleucus Secundus?
The Sardaukar.
The Sardaukar. Could they be Sardaukar?
I mean, they might be.
He looks like he has like a some sort of dotted tattoo over his forehead on one side too, which it just gives me a tribal feel here. I guess it's tribal feel, but you know that
maybe this one and the next scene aren't connected.
Yeah, that hand, probably not. That hand looks very Bene Gesserit, but maybe that is the Sihaya of the is that right? No.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Who is
Sihaya is Cheney.
who is the wild Bene Gesserit? What do they call her? Man, you've never met the Harkonnens before. They're not human. They're brutal. And you see all these guys on like, upside down hanging.
If you kind of look, doesn't it kind of look like they're funneled, like almost like they're gonna slit their throats and drain the water?
Oh damn! It looks like it's raining too. So this isn't Dune, but they're not. I mean, these guys are. I don't think these are the same people. I just don't think they're the same people because these look much more like Harkonnen creepos, but they're naked. You know, they're just in like loincloth, and the other guys had like armor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking this shot
doesn't it look like there's like troughs there to.
Yeah, it definitely does. It definitely does. I think this is Harkonnen. I think this is Gidi Prime, and I think these are probably prisoners who are about to be executed in blood. Creepy. And then you see people bowing. Definitely Harkonnens. Another shot of Beast, and he has like his mouth open, like, oh. And then you see you've never met Harkonnens before. They're not human. They're brutal. And the way you see Gurney like saying it, and his whole neck is like extended, like he knows just how like he's just trying to explain. Just Paul has no idea what brutality is. Yeah, he's like shaking with it, and you see one very quick shot of a Harkonnen dude. Like it looks like he's at the top of whatever that thing was, and he's like almost like doing like a prayer or something. Like he has like a cylinder like almost over his shoulders and his face up into his nose. It's a very very quick shot.
And then you get this whole army.
Okay.
In front of what looks like a statue of the Baron. You know, the long robe.
Hold on, I'm back. I'm back to 1 minute 48 right now, and it looks like those same soldiers in the rain. Oh, they're bald though. They're all bald. That looks like Dr. Yue, honestly, from behind. And these white clad soldiers all rising. Now we see one that looks like it looks like maybe a statue of Baron Harkonnen, or maybe it's him himself. Who knows? How big is this dude? Floating, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The Duke's son, he sees too much, and it's like this weird bush of almost like neural pathways. What am I looking at? You know, like what am I looking?
I don't know.
Is this what Paul sees?
It does look really cool.
His eyes aren't blue. His eyes are green. So I'm not sure what I'm even looking at here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, and now we have a quick scene with what looks like Rebecca, Paul, and Yue, and Yue's putting his hands on his neck and kind of like meditating. Harkonnen rising and Piter DeVries in front of him, and then
this scene is like raising up like that.
Yeah, and it looks like he's like 30 feet of like garment underneath him. He's like, "This is my Dune. Kill them all." Yeah, very creepy the way he has like 30 feet of robe. Leto, who is looking outside, a bunch of ships look like they're landing onto a fiery scene here. Gurney walking outside. He sees the guild.
Oh, we're in trouble.
Yeah, the guild highlighted. It looks like a moon. It looks like the Death Star almost. He says, "God in heaven." You see Duncan just kind of looking up. Bunch of explosions, an ornithopter escaping. Get everything with guns off the ground. Go. A bunch of Atreides looking in fear and running. Battle, fire, massive ships exploding, big shields. I'm assuming these are atomics because the shields are breaking. This is an extermination, he says.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Paul talking. He looks angry. Yeah, these are the palm trees burning again. That's Arakeen. Dr. Yue with a bunch of walking with a bunch of Harkonnen soldiers protected. A bunch of white soldiers. So these must be Sardaukar. I'm telling you, the white clad soldiers must be Sardaukar, because all the Imperial people are all in white. Must be. They're picking my family off one by one. You see a shot of the Duke. You see Rebecca terrified in the desert. You'll see after the crash land. Big ornithopters, like wartime ornithopters. Paul at the helm of an ornithopter with a neck gaiter over his mouth. An ornithopter escaping, and then You get Duncan saying, "Let's fight like demons." I love that line. Looks all dusty. So I'm guessing Duncan's death must come later. I'm guessing he must escape with Paul and Rebecca for at least a while, right?
Or meets up with them in the desert.
Yeah,
Maybe
something like that. More of Cheney and some Fremen about to fight.
She looks
Explosion.
so mean.
Yeah, she does. Explosion of a ship in the air. Duncan in the hallway with his sword fighting a bunch of I guess Sardaukar. Deflected, and then he like flies and kicks this guy. It was a crazy shot. Almost looks like a Matrix shot, you know? The way he kicks him and like flies through the air. Caladan in a big ship. We've seen this shot before. Dad, what if I'm not the future of House Atreides? Looks like definitely Bene Gesserit robe covering him. So this is going back to a conversation in Caladan between Paul and Leto, and his dad, what if I'm not the future of House Atreides? And Leto looks away. Then you see Paul running from a worm. We've seen this in the teaser trailer. He just barely makes it to the rock. Leto says a great man doesn't seek to lead. He's called to it. And Paul just barely makes it onto the rock where it looks like Cheney is waiting for him. Oh, no, it's Rebecca. I'm sorry. Rebecca in full still suit with the mask on. You see the worm rising. You just see this massive body coming out of the ground.
Just
and then,
huge.
Yeah. But if your answer is no, Leto continues on about the great man seeking to lead. Yeah, and then you see the worm just kind of like, resting over him. You'll still be the only thing I ever need you to be, my son. Which is a very nice sentence. Yeah. Paul looking directly into the front of the worm. Kind of a wild shot. Yeah. Then you have Leto saying, my son. And that's pretty much the end of it here. We have a little more fighting. You have you have Paul fighting Jameis right here. Look at this. Yeah. Yep. Then you have a Fremen kind of at the top of a dune with some sand riding tools and picks. Maybe that's Paul, maybe it's not, I'm not sure. Liet Kynes looking out at something. If anything happens, and you see the Atreides forces fighting what look like Harkonnen forces. Another explosion, unaware, not sure what it is. Will you protect Paul? Leto asks Rebecca. And Rebecca gives
just the look on her, it's like, yeah.
With my life. Like fear. With my life. Looks like they've just got to Arakim when they say this. Looks like Rebecca taking Stilgar by surprise and putting a knife to his throat. Stilgar of all people. Yeah. Yeah. Paul looking, looks like he's in a ship of some sort. Just a random shot of looking. An ornithopter is flying. A picture of Leto with a bloody handprint on his shoulder, and then red like he just got stabbed in the back.
Stabbed in the back or shocked or something, incapacitated.
Yep. Paul screaming no. Rebecca walking, worried.
Very upset.
Yeah. Duncan fighting. Not breaking through shields. What looks like a Harkonnen ship exploding. Cheney and Paul kissing. Only together can we stand a chance. And Paul is looking at Stilgar and a bunch of Fremen with Rebecca looking on in the background. A big fight in open desert. A bunch of people coming out of the ground. Looks like golden armor. Golden still suit armor, and someone's fighting a white armored it looks like an Imperial, and it stabs him in the neck, pulls out the knife, and then what do you see? It's Paul in golden armor, and what it looks like a worm is coming out from the back of him at the same time. Then you see Rebecca saying it's time, and she looks like she's wearing black robes here. I'm guessing this is her about to take the water of life.
And I'm gonna need you to pause it when you get to the next scene.
Oh, because you have there's Paul with the eyes of Ibad.
Yeah, look who's over his right shoulder though. Is that Jameis?
I don't know. It's a black guy. That's all I know. Jameis.
The hair looks like Jameis. Like I actually pulled up the actor's profile. I'm like, it's not a good shot, but I'm like, surely that can't be Jameis because he wouldn't have the eyes at this point. Jameis wouldn't still be alive. So I don't know. I'm curious about this shot.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Because the stills he's cropped out. I've seen some stills of this shot and he's cropped out. It's just Paul and Cheney.
It could just be another Fremen. There's nothing saying that. I like that the Fremen are multiple human races. There's no one race of Fremen. It's a culture. It's a society. And there are just multiple what you would call human races or earth races, I guess, at this point. So there's there's all types and looks of people there. I dig that. That's really cool. Speaking of that, all types of ages and races in the theater too. I saw very inclusive movie in terms of audience. Then you get the title shot of Dune, woman chanting, just awesome music to this entire trailer as well. And that's it. That's the trailer, man. Then you just got massive A-list cast right there. All right, let's wrap this up. Sound good?
Yeah.
Yeah, hit the... Whew. that was something, huh? Had a good time. Wow. I cannot wait for this film. The hype is on. It is time. The roller coaster ride is beginning, friends. So you best jump on board. And hey, if you need to catch up, if this is your first time listening to the DuneCast, time to catch up on some books. You got some time. Get over to Audible, get over to Kindle, get over to your library, wherever you need to do. Read up, enjoy this. Take us along for the ride. We're here. We have all of Frank Herbert's Dune saga already recorded. We're working on Hunters of Dune. We've recorded the first part already, so coming at you very, very soon there as well. So, yeah, man, I am so excited for what's to come. Rod, any final thoughts?
Like you were saying, there's so many different races, ages, everything at the theater. It was so nice because, you didn't know what to expect. Am I going in there and this is only going to be my hardcore Dune fans like myself? And there was hardcore, there was casual. The excitement's real. And don't be that, I've been a Dune fan my entire life. Welcome, people.
Yeah, it's
everybody
time.
Gets an introduction at some point.
Yep.
Welcome new fans.
Yeah, no gatekeepers around here. They can screw off for sure. No, there is literally never been a better time to be a Dune fan, and we're gonna do it right. We're gonna be here every step of the way. We're so excited for what's about to come. So we got some really good stuff coming. So guys, if you don't follow us on Twitter, get over there, go follow. That's where we're basically doing most of our talking. You can find us at Dune_cast. That's the big one over there. Get over to the RetroZap Discord server as well. We have a community over there, a bunch of people talking. That's sort of the inside track of what's going on in Dune and what's going on at RetroZap. We do a ton of podcasts, of course, and a bunch of writers and a lot of stuff going on if you're into pop culture. RetroZap.com, of course. That's where you can find that. Dude, you can find Rod at Bald-Headed Rod. You can find me at Joey Wan Kenobi. Yeah. So until next time, guys, we got Hunters of Dune coming up, but I can't wait. So we'll see you next time on the DuneCast. Take it easy, guys.